I grew up with the paranormal in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, back in the 90s, from which I never got closure after moving out of my home in my teens. Journey with me as I look for answers and discover secrets to the universe. This is Paranormal Geek Official, where the truth can be stranger than fiction.
Welcome back to Paranormal Geek, everyone. My guest, which is a returning favorite, is Randy J. Welcome, Randy J, back to the podcast.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. So our topic of the day is 8 haunted taverns in Pennsylvania. Over the years, buildings experienced many people coming and going and living and dying within their walls. Many people believe that a building holds energy of people who come in contact with them and stays within the walls. Sometimes energy can manifest itself into paranormal activity. Taverns are especially active due to the amount of people who have visited them over the years, and sometimes erratic conversations and activities that have occurred within the walls. Pennsylvania has more than 200 haunted taverns. This podcast will discuss 8 of the taverns which have experienced various forms of paranormal activity. This podcast guest is, I said, Randy J, and he's recently researched nominated 5 properties that have been successfully added into the National Register of Historic Places. He is the author in several recent history books, including Florida Preparation, Cooperate, I cannot speak today, and so forth. I've said this many times already, so I'll put it in the description. He also has appeared on several radio shows and PBS documentaries. He earned both a master's degree and bachelor's degree from California State University. Again, welcome back. Our first one we're going to be talking about is Buck Hotel and Tavern in Jonestown, PA. A tavern established in the early 1800s that has had many ghost sightings and poltergeist activities. The building recently survived an arsonist attack. I'm sorry if I'm
Arsonist.
Arsonist.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. More coffee.
Yeah, the Buck Hotel was built in 1804, so it's been around a long time. And by the way, it's in Lebanon County. And like you said, it's believed to be haunted by several spirits. One poltergeist reportedly moves objects around the bar when people are sitting around the tavern bar area. There's a ghost of a little girl that appears wandering around the halls. A ghost of an elderly man has been seen tinkering around with lights and turning the water on and off. And then back in 2017, an arsonist attempted to burn the building down, and that included people that were staying upstairs in a hotel. So they caught this guy, and they sentenced him to 20 years in jail. So this particular arsonist attack kind of led to more haunted stories and the mystique about the place. And unfortunately, today the Buck Hotel is closed, and we're not sure if they're going to tear it down or reutilize it or what, but if you drive past it, it's just sitting there blacked out today. So hopefully one day it'll be reestablished again.
Wow. I hate when they start to knock down historical places like that. It sucks. There's so much potential in it. Like, people do love history. The next one, a Now House in Hershey, PA, a tavern established in the late 1700s. Ghosts have been seen inside and outside of the building, and one of the rooms has a special permanent guest.
Right, yeah, the Union Canal House, like you said, it's in Hershey, Pennsylvania, nearby Dauphin County to you. And It's been around for over 200 years. It's one of Hershey's oldest standing buildings. And over the years, there's been quite a few sightings and experiences by poltergeist in there. Unseen hands seem to be frequently touching people while they're sitting at the bar. Objects have been seen moving around by themselves on the bar and other places around the establishment. And then up in room number 104, that's the suspected home of a ghost that's named Rebecca. So some of these places we'll be talking about today have named ghosts, and the Union Canal House is one of them. And some people have even seen bright white glowing spirits moving around on the outside of the building. So some of these buildings don't just have ghosts inside, they actually have them on the outside as well, or spirits coming and going. Some mediums believe that happens as well.
That's interesting. I'll have to make a trip to one of these locations. I already went to the Penhurst. That's like a big, big one. So I have no excuse for going to this one. Our next one is the Franklin House, which I've been interested in going. This one is in and can you help me with the name of this one?
Schaeferstown.
Schaeferstown, PA. The Franklin House was established in 1746 and reportedly is haunted by several ghosts. Apparently, a guest during the Victorian era, now an apparition, has never left the building and occupies the second floor.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, by the way, the Franklin House is in Lebanon County as well. It's only about 8 or 9 miles away from Lebanon. I've been in there a couple of times. It's one of my favorite places. It's really old. It's creepy looking, but it's really astonishing looking as well. Beautiful place to go. A lot of patrons and workers there have heard doors slamming and knocking noises over the years. Oftentimes, when they're cleaning up at night, they'll hear people talking. They'll go back into one of the dining rooms, and there's nobody there. Everybody's left, but there's some type of an apparition talking back in there. A ghost of a woman in a long dress and a man with a beard have been sighted in the basement. And there's a ghost known as the Lady in White, and she supposedly resides on the second floor. Now, the Harrisburg area Paranormal Society came in there a couple of years ago, right around Halloween. They did a couple of days of an investigation, and some of the investigators claimed that they heard their voices being repeated. So if they said something, all of a sudden there was a disembodied voice down the hall talking back to them, saying the same thing that they just said. So the Franklin House has been definitely a established tavern for over 200 years, and there's been ghost sightings in there for almost as long as it's been there. So really an exciting place to go, and I actually have a nice lunch and dinner in there as well.
I've heard it's good food.
Absolutely,
I think that's part of why I want to go.
It's not cheap, but it's worth it.
Oh no, I love food. I'm a foodie. And then our fourth tavern is Jean Bonnet Tavern in Bedford, PA. The Jean Bonnet Tavern was built in 1762. There have been numerous paranormal and other worldly occurrences reported in this building, including the ghostly activity in room 3.
Yes, another interesting thing about this tavern is President George Washington camped out there in 1794 on his way to squelch the Whiskey Rebellion. So room 3 has been reported to be haunted for many, many, many years. And what typically happens in there is there's a rocking chair in there that's notoriously rocking by itself. And then guests go in there and they'll lay clothing or women's purses and things like that on the chair. And when they wake up, they're strewn on the floor. So apparently this ghost that's haunting room 3 doesn't like anybody to place any of their belongings on this rocking chair. Other things that happened in there, a highway robber was executed and hanged there in the late 1700s. Some people think his spirit has never left the building. And there's a whole host of other things. People claim that apparitions are looking in through the windows and they're dressed in frontier clothing. Doors are slamming. things like that. A lot of things are moving around when nobody's apparently there. In the middle of the night, they'll hear things. Sometimes they'll hear a baby crying, and yet there's no children in the building. There's a strong presence of a military personnel in the basement. And then there's also an apparition of a Civil War veteran that walks around and has been sighted in there as well. He's got a wooden leg, and they'll hear this wood knocking on the floor. So yes, the Gibonnet Tavern is one of Pennsylvania's longest haunted established taverns. Still in business today.
I think when I was looking for a place to investigate, I think it's either that one or the Franklin House. There's a connection to another place here, and I don't know if it's known. It was a bed and breakfast. Now it's like a Mishu Japanese sushi place. I'll text you later and see if you know about it. But it was 727, or it was a number, or 17 or something like that. It was. And then they sold the place, which is sad because I think I've been in there and you could feel the energy. Anyway, it reminded me of those two places you just discussed. The Harmony Inn is our next tavern. It's at Harmony, PA. The Harmony Inn was built in 1856. This mansion is one of Pennsylvania's most haunted buildings. Many ghosts have been sighted and felt within the walls of this marvelous building.
Yes, this is a famously haunted building. It's got, I think, at least 5 ghosts that have names to them. Now, how they got the names over the years, I don't know. I mean, some mediums will say they contacted them and they relinquished their name to them. Other people claim that their name's been whispered to them in the night and stuff like that. But it's kind of interesting how some of these ghosts wind up getting names assigned to them. Now, a medium was recently in the building, and she claims that she was contacted by a spirit named Lucy or Lucia, and she claims she was going up and down the stairs. And then there's another kind of more scary apparition in there named Grandma, and she's kind of like a skeletal figure, and she's seen up in the second floor in the dining room area most of the time. And then people have felt blast of icy cold air thundering down the steps coming from the second to the first floor. In 2013, a current owner was washing glasses behind the inn's bar area, and all of a sudden 5 coins flew out of the wall and just about hit him in the head. And they think that this is a ghost named Louis. And this particular spirit has been haunting this tavern for many years. And what he does is he walks around and he leaves nickels and dimes laying around for some reason. And nobody really knows who he is. Some people think he was a former innkeeper, and others say that he was a guest that never left there, died and never left there. Also, some people have heard rocking chairs moving in this place again, and other aberrations that appear in mirrors and so forth. One of the general managers in there heard chairs being moved around several times when they were closing up. He went back into the bar area, the dining room area. There's nobody there at all. There's just chairs that have been moved further away than what he had placed them there. So there's some poltergeist activity in there as well. And just a really, really interesting disembodied voices that are heard in there sometimes. Again, objects move around. Waitresses are taking orders and they'll turn around and there's a chair moved in their way that wasn't there when they walked to the table. Things like that. Sometimes the soup kettles are boiling on the stove, and somebody look over and a lid will be removed and nobody's there. Several witnesses have reported seeing a little girl in a white dress roaming around the upstairs. They claim her name is Emily. A medium had contacted her, and this medium says that she was sad and neglected, but she has no malicious, she's not mean or anything like that. She's just kind of like a lost soul that haunts this particular tavern.
I get sad with the little kids. I hate that. It's kind of scary too at the same time. Our next tavern is the Scotch Tavern, if I'm saying that right, in Wolfendorf, PA. The Sea Couch Tavern was built in 1785. Many paranormal and mysterious activities occurred in the building or have occurred.
Right now, the original building was destroyed by fire and it was rebuilt. However, the original ghost inhabitants seemingly have moved into the newer building, and we've heard that before in some of the other things that we've talked about. Theaters have been haunted, and the newer theater now has apparitions from the old time. Now, George Washington spent the night in this tavern as well. Many paranormal activities have occurred here. Mysterious footsteps, doors slamming, faucets turning on and off. There's a ghost of a girl often seen there, as well as a phantom horse-drawn carriage. And there's an apparition in there, a ghost in there that's named George. Now, whether he's named after George Washington or not, nobody knows, but this ghost is named George.
Wow, that's interesting. That'd be really interesting if it is the president himself. Our next place is the Railroad House Inn in Marietta, PA. The Railroad House Inn was built in 1820. It was originally a boarding house, and room number 6 has had many unexplained paranormal activities over the years. It is full of unaccountable sounds, such as disembodied footsteps.
Right now, the Railroad House is in Lancaster County, so it's not too far from the Lebanon area there. And a lot of travelers came through here throughout the years. It's changed its it used to be a railroad house and a depot and all that. Now it's more of a restaurant, and they have murder mystery weekends in there and stuff like that today. So they're kind of utilizing the fact that it is haunted, and there's supposedly guests that had never left. They call them the living dead in there. The guests staying in room 6 have heard all kinds of unexplained sounds over the years, bangings coming from the walls, and this room number 6, really, we're not sure exactly what's going on in there, but definitely there's a lot of poltergeist activity in there. There's also sounds of typewriters. There hasn't been a typewriter in there for 30 or 40 years, but people hear typewriters up and down the halls and coming out of different rooms. A former chef claims that he's seen apparitions looking back at him in different mirrors around the building as well. There's a woman that is seen up in the stairway, a ghost apparition, also a little girl up there as well. On the second floor, it looks down the empty staircase. The garden is supposedly haunted by one of an early neighbor named Anna Marie. She died around 1900. She was in charge of the upkeep of the garden and harvesting the food out of the garden and all that. And she was always trying to find a husband and used to talk to all the single men. She died before she got married, so now only single men see her. She only appears to single men.
That's funny. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
She's enjoying herself. She's an afterlife. McGillen Owl House in Philadelphia, PA. McGillen's the Owl House opened in 1860. Paranormal activity includes the unexpected flickering of lights and the occasional appearance of an apparition of its long dead original owner.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures of here, ever been in there, it's all full of antiques, and it's got a real eerie, old-looking, aura about it, right? So there's a lot of old pictures and mirrors in there, and people claim they see ghosts staring back at them. They're sitting at the bar and different paranormal activity, flickering of the lights, like you said, cold breezes blowing on the back of their head. And probably the most famous thing that happens in this particular building is an apparition known as Moll McGillen. And she was the original owner, and she's been cited many times. And a paranormal group came in there a few years ago. They actually was able to capture an image of her. An image of this a ghost named Moll McGillen. There's other unidentified ghosts in there as well, but the most famous one is Moll McGillen. So that's definitely an interesting place right in the heart of Philadelphia.
I would like to go, but that one's a further one for me. Well, again, thank you, Randy, for coming and being patient with me with my thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast of our topic with the 8 taverns that are haunted in Pennsylvania. And if you're thinking of, or if you're interested in me going to one of these in person and actually do an investigation like I did with the Penhurst, comment down below. You could also check out Randy's work on multiple websites. And if you have a website, do you have like a website they could check your stuff or your books?
Yeah, it's called historyspeak.com.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Randy and Amit.
All right, thank you. It's been a good time again.
Thank you again. I got 1 minute left, so let me just stop recording.
This is Paranormal Geek Official. Where the truth can be stranger.